All right, we are live. Good afternoon, Friday afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern, wild card weekend. Really good time to just, be alive, talk football, have a good time. Now, to address the elephant in the room at the start, if you have been a longtime subscriber, then you know that I used to do the weekly previews by myself. I used to cover every game. This year, opted to have a co-host, Marcus Whitman, that franchise guy. Obviously, you can see it's just me for the wild card round preview. Marcus is going to the Panthers game, so he had to travel from where he lives in Minnesota to Charlotte. So obviously he's doing that. I'm watching every game at home this weekend. Now, what I will say is we are going to be going in order of every game. So we're not going to start on Monday night with the Texans Steelers. We're going to be starting with the Rams and Panthers. Now, I will have a poll up for every game. If you are watching this after the fact, or if you are listening to on Apple or Spotify after the fact, there will be a poll. I will announce which team wins the poll, and of course, we are going to break down each video. Or break down each game. So, Rams, Panthers. All right, the notes within this that I have here. The Rams are favored by 10.5. I also put down the weather within every game because playoff football, there's a lot of things that need to be noted within, playoff football, especially if we have a snow game, especially if we have, a 50-mile-per-hour wind game. Wrote down everything for this. So, Charlotte, tomorrow, it's at 4:30. All of the second half will be in the dark. High of 70, low of 44, scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon. The best scoring in the offense in the NFL, the Rams, they have the 10th scoring defense. One of the questions that I wrote down is, and this goes back to the game that the Rams and Panthers played earlier in the year, which I'll be honest, maybe this is part of me getting old, but I feel like they just played, and I looked it up, and, I was thinking like, hey, maybe it was, 3-4 weeks ago. They played back on November 30th, which was in week 13. That seems like it was, it just didn't seem like it was that long ago, but anyway, what I wrote down was, do we think the Rams are going to turn the ball over 3 times again? That was one of the things that I wrote down in the preview. I personally don't. Mike Jackson had a big pick 6 in the game. Credit to the Panthers defense for playing the way they did. Stafford also, or the timely turnovers when they made them. Stafford also had another timely red zone interception. And the Panthers and Derek Brown also had a strip sack with 2.5 minutes left to play. And the reason that I bring all of this up is the Panthers beat the Rams, in this game, and it was obviously huge for Carolina to get this win. But it took, a red zone interception from Stafford, who, by the way, finished the season with 46 passing touchdowns. It took a defensive touchdown by the Panthers. It took a strip sack with 2.5 minutes left to play. And they won 31-28. They didn't win 31-10. They didn't, it was by the skin of their teeth they won. They also held the ball for over 35 minutes of the game. Carolina, that is. They were 3 for 3 on 4th downs. It was, there was a lot that had to go Carolina's way to win that specific game. The poll right now has the Rams at 74% to the Panthers 26%. What I wrote down for the Panthers, they have a minus 69 point difference on the year. I also wrote down, what do they do well that we should expect them to rely on in this game? Now, the Rams are favored by 10.5. I do think that the Panthers will cover. I think that, a 27-20 type final is very doable for the Panthers. But one thing that I want to hammer home here with the Panthers is even if you lose this game, there's nothing to hang your hat on. You are going up against a team that I don't think anybody would be surprised if they win the Super Bowl this year. And you won the division in a year where you were not expected to win the division. So there's a lot of positives to take away. You also probably have the offensive rookie of the year on your team in Teteroa McMillan. And you also have a really good draft class with Nick Scorton, with Lathan Ransom. I just don't like the Panthers' chances within this game. Now, and somebody comments here, house money for the Panthers. I couldn't agree more with this. There will probably be people that say, oh, Garrett, the Panthers haters pack, whatever. I would be very surprised if the Panthers win this game. Full transparency, I will be going live after the final game of each day is played. So tomorrow night after the Packers-Bears game, I will be live recapping both games. So we will discuss everything We will discuss the Rams-Panthers game. We'll discuss, what went right for each team, what went wrong for each team for both games. And then on Sunday night, we'll be live after all three. Now, like I said, for everybody that's just getting here, if you're enjoying, please like the stream. Helps tremendously. Marcus is going to this game. He's actually going to the Rams-Panthers game, and he is traveling from, Minnesota to Charlotte, so that's why he's not here. Would I call the Panthers season a success even with their 8-9 record but making the playoffs? Yes, 100% I would. Division champs, they've came a long way from where they were a year ago. Yes, this is a successful season. The Panthers' path to success, or to win this game, is to have a game plan similar to what they had when they beat the Rams the first time. You're going to have to create turnovers. I don't think there is a scenario where the Panthers win this game without forcing a turnover. I would be very surprised if they would be able to pull that off. So I would think at least one, if not multiple turnovers that you have to force, continue, or keep pounding the rock, if you will. And I did ask Marcus his thoughts on this game, and he sent back keep pounding in all caps. But Panthers game plan, as simple as it is, it's going to be raining. You do not want Bryce Young dropping back and having 7-step drops. You don't want him dropping back with really long developing plays on 3rd and 15 in the rain at night, colder weather, if you will. You don't want that situation where Bryce is going to have to go against the Rams pass rush. They're down double digits. That's a recipe for failure. So control the clock as much as you can. Play sound defense, force turnovers, and get to the fourth quarter. And as we know with the Cardiac Cats, anything can happen. Ultimately, I'm going to go Rams 27-20. That is my final prediction for this game. Now, for Packers Bears, let's go ahead and there we go. Packers Bears are up. We're going to put the poll in here. And the Rams win the poll 77% to 23%. So we are going, like I said, we're putting the poll up for all of these games. And I will say, before we really break down the Packers and Bears preview here, is if there is any game out of Wild Card Weekend that I think is as open as anybody, it's the most open game of the weekend, I think it's this game. The Packers and Bears obviously play each other twice a year. And over the past 2 years, the Packers and Bears, they've played 4 games. The scoring of the games has been 86-86. I looked it up. I looked up the history of these teams. I couldn't believe that it played out exactly like that. So that's obviously, this game is going to be close. I would be surprised if either team wins by more than a touchdown. And Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, Matt LaFleur, Ben Johnson, there's a lot to get excited about heading into this game. It's going to be around 30 degrees, winds around 15 to 20 miles per hour. Wind chill projected to be around 10 to 18 degrees. Not a lot of snow is expected, at least during game time, so you have to note that with the cold weather. The Packers are not officially coming off of a bye week. They, of course, obviously we're in the wild card round, but they didn't play their starters last week. Clayton Tune started at quarterback for them. Not to be exaggerative, but the Vikings, we kind of waxed them, and we almost shut them out if Matt LaFleur didn't kick the field goal at the end. But who's to say? Again, we kind of won our Super Bowl, and we kind of ran them out of the building. But the Packers, I think the weather will favor a good ground game here. Josh Jacobs, I think that was a tremendous decision to get him as healthy as you possibly can heading into the postseason. And like I said, when it's 15 degrees in Chicago, Soldier Field, I expect there to be big passing plays in this game. I don't expect it to be a 52-49 Saints-Giants, if you guys remember that game all the way back in 2014 with Eli and Drew. But there's going to be some big passing plays in this game here and there. There's going to be a couple deep shots. I primarily expect this to be a ground game, and that's what I think both teams should heavily emphasize. I wrote down for the Bears specifically that I want their game plan to be exactly what it was in Philly. When they ran for over 270 yards as a team in Philly, they became the first team, I want to say in over a decade, to have 2 running backs in the same game rush for 125 yards and a touchdown each, as DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai did that against the Birds on Black Friday. That has to be your game plan entering this game. I would personally argue for both teams. The Packers, Third in the NFL in turnovers offensively. They only had 13 giveaways all season. They also enter the postseason on 4 straight losses. The Broncos beat them. That was the game that Micah Parsons tore his ACL. That was also the game that Bo Nix had over 300 yards and 4 passing touchdowns. The Bears, of course, beat them 5 days before Christmas. That was a that was a come down to the wire exciting game, but the Bears won in overtime. King Henry, of course, had one of the best games of his career at Lambeau. And then, like I said, the Vikings, ran them out of the building last week, 16-3. Shout out Will Riker, 3 field goals in that game. But this is a game where, you look at how the Packers lost that Week 16 game to Chicago. And everything had to go the Bears' way for them to win that game in the first place, right? So there was a lot that transpired just for the Bears to win one game against the Packers. And in terms of who I think is going to win this game, we have Matt LaFleur, we have Jordan Love, guys that have playoff experience, guys that have been here before. They're also coming off a week of rest. One thing that really worries me about the Bears as well is they've allowed 430 yards of opposing offense in back-to-back weeks. I don't trust the Bears' pass rush at all. And they allowed 42 points in Week 17 to the 49ers. They only allowed 19 points, but obviously a lot of yards last week to the Lions. And this game is, you could tell me right now the Bears win 20-17. You could tell me the Packers win 24-21. As much as it pains me to say, I've been on the good, better, best train all year. I think the Packers win this game. I think it took a lot for the Bears just to beat the Packers the first time, and it was a huge collapse. Although I will say, if the Packers lose this game, given that they would end the season on, I'll dismiss the Vikings loss. It counts, but it doesn't count if that makes sense. They will have effectively lost 4 straight games to end the season. There will be conversations about Matt LaFleur's job. Not necessarily from me, but there's already been conversations from Packers media. Hey, what is Matt LaFleur if they lose this game? I think the Packers come out on top 24-20. And the chat says 70-30 Bears. So I'm against the chat on this one. Pet Beard Dragon, appreciate the super chat, says, go Pack, go. Go Pack, go. Go pack your bags for Cancun. Give me Chicago. Okay. Go. I like that. Go. I like the pack your bags for Cancun. I do like that. Somebody asked which city has better food, Chicago or Green Bay. Guys, it's not even a question. Chicago is. I mean, come on. Chicago. It's just Chicago's food is unmatched. If you have not been to Chicago, do not listen to what the media tells you. Incredible city. Go if you can. Obviously, well, I'm not going to get into that. Chicago's a great town to visit. Great sports town. Go visit if you can. All right, Bills Jags. This game is Buffalo's favored by 1.5. It's close to as toss up as you can get. High of 66, 40% chance of rain. Josh Allen has never won on the road in the playoffs. The Bills are 4th in offensive points per game, 12th in points allowed per game. The one big thing that concerns me with the Buffalo Bills entering not just this game, but of course, the 2025 playoffs, is they're 30th in rushing yards allowed. And what also concerns me with the Buffalo Bills, and why I think they could very easily be one and done, is, we're talking about Josh Allen, a player who, as far as I'm concerned, I think is a top 10 talent ever at the position without any sort of pushback. At least I don't think there should be pushback on that. I mean, watch him play. There's not a lot of players in NFL history that can do what Josh Allen does. Now, having said that, where I'm going with that is his top 5 leading receivers in the middle of his prime this year: Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, Keon Coleman, Josh Palmer. Good call on the poll, guys. Forgot about the poll. Good call. I really worry about the Bills in this game. And it's not a Josh Allen thing. And I've seen, obviously we've all seen the, if Josh Allen doesn't win it this year, then he's a choke artist and this is going to be his best shot to win a ring and all of that, because there's no Mahomes, there's no Lamar, there hasn't been Burrow in 3 years, but those guys are not in the playoffs, right? I do not trust the Buffalo Bills offense to be able to keep up with the Jags. The Bills, now they did put up 35 points last week. Mitch played technically, well, he played most of the game. Josh Allen played a snap for the consecutive game streak. But in the previous 2 games, the Bills put up 12 points against the Eagles, a really good playoff defense. And they put up 23 points against the Browns in what was a game that was a lot closer than Bills fans would have liked, right? The Bills offense, definitely some concerns as we enter the postseason, at least with, where we are. And I really think that the Bills, in terms of, the couple of players, meaning Josh Allen and James Cook versus the rest of the offense, there's a substantial, fall off. And at least skill position wise. James Cook leads the NFL in rushing this year, 1,621 yards, 12 rushing touchdowns, another 291 receiving yards out of the backfield, finished the year with 1,900 total yards. But if the Jags can somehow bottle up James Cook, if they can limit Josh Allen, guys, they should win this game. They should win this game. Josh Allen also suffered a foot injury in that Eagles game. Good call. There was some Bills fans that were worried last week because they wanted Josh Allen to take the final knee at Highmark Stadium, and there were some Bills fans that were also like, hey, while that would have been cool, Josh Allen he didn't look like he was walking the best after the game. And that was last week. And you have a really good pass rush on the other side. Josh Hines-Allen finished second in the NFL in pressures this year with 95. I worry about the Bills in this game. I'm really confident in the Jags in this game. Maybe that comes back to bite me, but I am really confident against the Jags in this game. Or I'm really confident in the Jags. I don't know if I said against. I'm really confident in the Jags. Somebody said, don't pick Jags. You picked the Ravens against the Bills last year, and look what happened. Am I supposed to go perfect every game? Am I supposed to go perfect every playoff pick? Is that what that means? No, I like the Jags a lot in this game, guys. The Jags enter the postseason on an 8-game winning streak. They've averaged 33.6 points per game during this winning streak. We of course have to mention Trevor with the grills. We have to mention Trevor that he got the grills this week. Not that that has any impact on his play, just had to mention it. But Jacksonville's also undefeated against the Bills in the playoffs. They're 6th in points per game, 8th in points allowed per game. With the Jags, I feel way more comfortable because it seems like every time the Jags need somebody to step up, they do. And that's kind of been the story of their season. I mean, this is a team that put up 34 points in Denver in Week 16. And although they didn't get the 1 seed, their chances of getting the 1 seed rode on that game. So I trust the Jags offense a lot. Trevor Lawrence is playing the best football of his career. I really, really like the Jags in this game, guys. The chat also likes the Jags. They have them at 68% to win this game. I think there is also an argument as simple as this is. As if Josh Allen, MVP Josh Allen shows up, not just the Jags, but anybody would be in trouble. And what I'll also say is when you look at this game, the Jags, if you just go position by position, the Jags win that very favorably across the board. Not at every single position, but most positions. I mean, the Jags have an overall better roster, but there is also an argument to basically say, hey, if Josh Allen and James Cook both go off, it doesn't matter if it's the Jags, doesn't matter if it's even the Seahawks would have trouble with the Bills if both those players have great games. But I do think the Jags are going to win. This also should not be a 1:00 game. This also should not be a Sunday 1 p.m. playoff game. I will go ahead and acknowledge that. And then also is somebody did say this as well. Jacoby Myers completely changed the Jags. That was a tremendous move in the middle of the year by James Gladstone. First-year GM James Gladstone to go get Jacoby Myers. I like Jacksonville a lot. Would not be surprised at all if they go to the Super Bowl. So I like Jacksonville. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but we'll see. Like I said, this should not be a Sunday 1:00 game. Quick super chat from Speedy. Appreciate it. Think Jags are overrated. They haven't played many good teams outside of the Broncos. Look back at the quarterbacks they played. Stafford cooked. Stafford did cook. You are right about that. And I do acknowledge what you're saying. That was also back in the middle of October. The Jags have not allowed more than 25 points since November 9th. I like the Jags a lot in this game, guys. I really do. We'll see how it plays out. Maybe I'm way off. Maybe I'm way wrong. But I really like the Jags. And this is I knew this part was going to come up, and I'm eager to read the comments after, specifically from both Bills and Jags fans, because people are saying, get ready for the excuses if the Bills lose. I would just personally say, look at the Bills roster. Do you think that the Bills roster is close to where the Jags is? Because the Jags pass rush is better than the Bills pass rush. The Jags defense is better than the Bills defense. We'll see, man. But I think the Jags, I like them quite a bit. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'm also already defending, I'm already making a case for if the Bills lose, their roster is not that great. I'll be eager to read the comments on this one. All right, let's go to 49ers Eagles. What is Brendan? I don't even know what the super chat means here, Brendan. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. I don't know what the super chat means. Maybe I'm old. I don't know what the super chat means. If you could explain that one to me, if somebody could explain that, I don't know what that means. But let's appreciate the super chat, but I don't know what that means. All right, let's go here. New poll. For audio listeners, Jags win the poll 6-7, 67-33. Do I know the way? Super old meme? Okay, it's an old meme. All right. 49ers Eagles. So, the 49ers enter this game. They played the... we have a Bills fan super chat here. This is one that I want to address. Bills fan here. The Jags offense is electric. Bills defense is simply not heartbreaker. One sentence summary of the Bills Jags game. That's exactly how I feel, Chris. That's exactly how I feel. Good luck, because you're going to need it against that offense. All right. 49ers Eagles. Weather not a concern. It's about 40-45 during the game, 4:30 p.m. There's no precipitation. Rematch of the 2022 NFC Championship game. Lane Johnson back. Eagles 5-0 under Sirianni at the link in the postseason. Also, within that, Jalen Hurts, of course, as the starting quarterback. The 49ers have a banged-up defense. I wrote down for this game which running back takes over. For the 49ers, it's looking like no Trent and no Ricky Pearsall, which, Trent Williams, a Hall of Fame left tackle. That is substantial for obvious reasons. I put down, how will Brock do against a Fangio defense on the road? And also that the 49ers averaged 35.7 points per game from weeks 11 through 17. And then, as we know, they put up a dud last week in Seattle. Now, there's a lot to be said for both sides here. The Birds finished the year 11-6. They win the division. They are favored by 4.5 points. And the 49ers, guys, from weeks 15 through 17, they played the Titans, the Colts, and the Bears. Not exactly the Seahawks and Eagles defenses, but still defenses they had to play. You can only play who's in front of you. They put up 37 points, 48 points, and 42 points, had 430 yards or more of offense in all of those games. And there's been times this year where the 49ers offense has absolutely been cooking. But I like the Eagles defense in this game. I think that this is actually going to be a lower scoring game than people probably think. The over-under is 44.5. I think, honestly, I think it could be a first race to 20 points because I think the Eagles defense is that good. Obviously, the elephant in the room for the Eagles is offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo. That has to be brought up because Kevin Patullo has been not a great OC all year. And recently, Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel was let go. Eagles fans are... I've had a text from Eagles fans that basically say, hey, I would not be upset if we lose this game specifically if that means that we get Mike McDaniel as OC next year. Not that they want to, lose the game, of course, but that would be the trade-off. They would be willing to do it because of what that would probably mean for 2026, and you get the message of what they're trying to say. Now, that doesn't speak for every Eagles fan, but I do worry about the Eagles putting up points, or at least putting up enough points, although I think with how good their defense plays at home at the link, especially in the postseason, the average margin of victory the Eagles have in 5 games in the Nick Sirianni / Jalen Hurts era, whenever they play home games in the playoffs, is 21 points. And the 2022 NFC Championship game, we all know how that played out. They had Christian McCaffrey at quarterback in the second half. They could only run the ball. So I mean, they're going to have better quarterback play in this game because they're not going, well, hopefully they're not going to have Christian McCaffrey play quarterback. But I feel weirdly confident in the Eagles. I feel weirdly confident in the Eagles. And I don't trust the, I don't, let me back that up. I don't trust the 49ers pass rush to get home against the Eagles offensive line. And also within this, I really worry about the 49ers on the road. They played a really tough and physical game last week while the Eagles, again, practically had a week off because Tanner McKee played against the Commanders. And I think the Eagles win this game. I would say somewhere along the lines of 20-13, maybe 23-16, somewhere in there. I don't think this is going to be that high scoring. But what I will say is the 49ers, with how banged up they are, I think there's a scenario that this team has a finish to their season, honestly, very similar to what the Vikings had last year. They're absolutely cooking between weeks 11 through 17. They lose by double digits in week 18 for the 1 seed. They get bounced in the wild card round. I don't like what this game represents for the 49ers because I think they're outmatched in a lot of, not just a lot of positions, but key positions. And that's where I think the Eagles are going to be able to capitalize, even with Kevin Patullo as the offensive coordinator. I simply think they're going to be able to survive and advance. So that's where I stand on this one. Chat has Eagles 55, 49ers 45. We'll see how it plays out. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see, but should be a good game. Should be a good game. And, you know, anytime you get Kyle Shanahan versus Vic Fangio, that's one that I'm really looking forward to. So we'll see how this plays out. Quickly, if you guys are enjoying, please like the stream. Helps tremendously with the almighty YouTube algorithm, and is also very much appreciated. So appreciate everybody that's in here, and we'll get to some super chats. Also, we will start the next poll, which of course is Chargers Patriots. So let's go ahead and put this up here. Chargers Patriots is the next poll. There we go. All right. KCP, I just picked the Birds to win. I just picked the Birds to win. So that is where we are. Just pick the Birds to win. All right. Speedy says Cam Ward, Phil Rivers, Bo Nix, Brady Cook, Phil Rivers, Cam Ward, the last 7 Jags opponents. I mean, that's fair, but you can only play who's in front of you. And they're averaging 33.6 points per game. The Bills' defense is what worries me with the Bills-Jags team. Also, Josh's supporting cast that he's throwing the ball to. All right, what are my thoughts on Jalen? As an Eagles fan, I've always thought he's a top 10 quarterback who plays better in big moments. Probably not top 10 this year, but when he's at his peak, definitely top 10 at his peak, and I would agree with you in the big moments. I mean, Jalen has not backed down in any big moment. I'm not going to include the 23 wild card game with the all-time collapse. At least I'm not going to put that specifically on Jalen and say if he plays better, they win the Super Bowl. That was an all-time collapse. But I mean, he played good enough to win this. They put up 35 points in the first Super Bowl against the Chiefs. He played good last year. That's a very fair assessment. Here we go. Here's a Pats fan super chat from HIQ before the Pats Chargers preview. He says, simply put, we are healthiest team in the playoffs. Chargers are not. I would be surprised if we lose. YT Premium also says Patriots are 2 seed, just take care of business. So within this, now that we have addressed those super chats, that's largely how I feel about this game. Just to be completely open and honest, I'm surprised that this is only a 3.5 point game. So let me go with the weather first. It's a low of 25, winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. There was a graphic that was put out this week for the offensive line, the composite rankings. One was from Sports Info Solutions, one was from ESPN, and one was from PFF. The Chargers ranked dead last. The next playoff team, keep in mind, 14 of 32 teams in the NFL make the playoffs. So we are talking about a percentage of 44% of NFL teams make the playoffs. The next closest team to the Chargers was, I want to say, the Texans, who had the 19th best offensive line. Chargers obviously have, Sorry, that had to sneeze. The Chargers have the 32nd best offensive line. No Rashawn Slater, no Joe Alt. You guys know I'm a big Justin Herbert fan, but I would be very surprised if somehow the Chargers come out on top of this one. I would be surprised because this is a game that does not favor them at all. This is a game where you're going to need Jesse Minter and the defense specifically to step up big time. Now, the Chargers defense has more interceptions than passing touchdowns allowed. That's obviously very impressive over the course of a regular season. But the Chargers, to me, this year, they're 20th in points per game. They're 9th in points allowed per game. Justin Herbert this year, his numbers don't look typically like what you'd expect from Justin Herbert, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that watch this game that are also watching the Chargers for the first time this year. They're going to see the tackles get beat probably by Harold Landry and Caleb Von Chason, both of which were tremendous free agent signings by the Patriots front office, by the way, in terms of what they paid for them and in terms of the production they've received from them. They're going to see those guys beat the backup tackles early and often. They're going to see Justin Herbert do what he's done for most of the year, which has been kind of the one read and then look to run or look to, move out of the pocket because his offensive line has been that bad all year. And there's going to be a lot of people saying, I can't believe that this is Justin Herbert that people hype up, or I can't believe this is what Justin Herbert's had to deal with all year. If the Chargers win this game, I don't think either team scores 20 points. I don't think either team scores 20 points. I would be very surprised if the Chargers win this game and it's like a 30-27 type win. This could be Jesse Minter's final game as a coach for the Los Angeles Chargers. Both defenses, I do believe, should get after the quarterback. The Patriots obviously more so than the Chargers, but the Chargers defense is, guys, they're underrated. I feel like a lot of Chargers players generally get underrated, especially because they're in a division with, the Chiefs, and then now the Broncos is the number 1 seed. But Tuli Tuipulotu, loved him as a prospect coming out of USC a couple years ago. He's a really good player. Khalil Mack is, of course, a future Hall of Famer. Chargers, don't be surprised. Do not be surprised if they keep this one, close into the fourth quarter, but ultimately I think the Patriots pull away. Also, Robert Spillane looking to be back. Huge for the Patriots run defense. If you were not aware of Robert Spillane, obviously because a lot of the Patriots talk this year has been Drake May, Mike Vrabel, and Stephon Diggs and Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson, who, by the way, had a great game last week and has been playing really well recently. Robert Spillane is an essential piece to this defense, and if they can take Omarion Hampton out of the game, who Omarion Hampton did say that he's playing, it could get kind of could get tough for the Chargers. Super chat here from Monty, appreciate it. Monty is Monty, I didn't know you were a subscriber of mine. I know you always are. I know you're a big supporter of Marcus. Monty says, Chargers are way underrated. Tuipulotu is excellent. Good call. I said that before the super chat. There you go. Tyre Tart has been elite against the Broncos O-line. Funniest outcome is that Herbert melts down, but Chargers defense wins the game. Dome teams 1-14 in the cold. Good call about that. The statistic that Monty is referring to here, there was a stat that was tweeted out this week that Dome teams are 1-14, I think in weather under 40 degrees. Which I don't think the Panthers game is going to get quite under 40 degrees. So you don't have to worry. At least that's not relevant for that game. But that, in terms of the national media and in terms of how each team is viewed and how each player is talked about, Justin Herbert winning his first career playoff game in a game where he throws 2 interceptions, the Chargers win 13-10, would be a hilarious outcome. Also, I did write down for the Chargers that we cannot have a Justin Herbert game that he had last year. Can't have that. Cannot have 4 interceptions on the road. Definitely cannot have that. We have a new member alert. Appreciate it. Chris, welcome to being a new member. Appreciate it. Appreciate your support. But ultimately, who I think wins this game? New England. I think New England wins. I think it'll be somewhere along the lines of 24-17, somewhere in there. So, all right, let's end that poll, and then we have Texans-Steelers. We have Texans-Steelers here. All right, let's go ahead and put this poll up here. Start a poll. So, the biggest thing for the Steelers is obviously they get DK Metcalf back. They won last week, insane game. Obviously with the Tyler Loop missed field goal, and then John Harbaugh gets fired, and what a week, man. What a week in the NFL. And by the way, you know, a quarter of the NFL needs new head coaches. And that's, I mean, it's a quarter of the NFL needing new head coaches in a year where it's not a great head coaching candidate cycle. We'll see how that plays out. And we'll, of course, discuss everything, pertaining to that. The reason we brought that up, of course, is because the Steelers made the Ravens lose. They win the division. John Harbaugh fired. Good for the Steelers. So, DK Metcalf back. Obviously missed the final 2 games because of, the incident with the fan in Detroit. Pittsburgh wins 10 games. Pittsburgh, as we know, this has to be brought up, they have not won a playoff game since 2016. TJ Watt, I know Steelers fans hate this, but TJ Watt has never won a playoff game. And he's, now in the back half of his career. The one thing that I do want to say is they played one of their best games of the, well, not best games of the year, best game in years as an offense the last time DK Metcalf was on the field. They had 481 yards of offense against the Lions in that game. I know DK, well, he finished that game, was suspended for the final 2, but they had 481 yards of offense. They ran for 230 yards as a team. They put up 29 points on the road, and they had also won 3 straight games. And in that 3-game win streak, they'd put up 27 points, 28 points, and 29 points. That was before the playoffs, and then they put up 6 points on the road against the Browns. No DK Metcalf, and then last week they won a very improbable game against the Ravens, especially with how that played out, and the whole 9. It was a very Mike Tomlin, Pittsburgh Steelers win. But I'm going to be direct. I have a lot of questions how the Steelers are going to play against this offensive line. The best case, and this also applies to the Texans, by the way, the best case for the Steelers to win this game, you have a turnover like you had last week against the Texans. You have something crazy happen. You have a batted ball at the line of scrimmage. You have something go TJ Watt's way. He picks it off, goes the other way. I don't like Aaron Rodgers against Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter at 42 years old. Somebody commented that Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter are going to retire Aaron Rodgers. I greatly worry about the Steelers' offensive line handling both those guys. And I also worry that D'Amico Ryans is going to, and their defense is going to generate a lot of pressure. And whether you've realized this or noted this over the course of the 25 season, Aaron Rodgers, and Tom definitely did this at the end when he was 45. Once you get past 40 as a quarterback, there's a lot of plays to make it to the next down, which, I mean, I get it. You're a 40-year-old man. You're going out there and you have like a 25-year-old Will Anderson ready to tear your head off. Yeah, I'm going to do everything I can to prevent myself from taking that type of hit. So there's a lot of business decisions made, right, wrong, or indifferent. So where this comes up with the Steelers offense is I fear that unless there's a big deep ball to DK Metcalf early in the game to really get the Texans defense to kind of back off, that the Texans corners, they're going to do everything they can to really jam the receivers at the line and force or keep everything within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, which would substantially benefit the Texans defense from a play calling standpoint, and it would be extremely beneficial for them because they know that the Steelers' offensive line against that pass rush, especially with the Texans secondary, especially with the Texans defense that finished second in points allowed per game, that also forced 29 turnovers in the regular season, that allowed just 295 points all year. I don't think that this is going to be a high-scoring game on either side. And it's a low of 29, 10 to 20 mile per hour winds. The Steelers' best chance to win is to run the football, break out a couple runs, milk the clock, and force a turnover at some point in the second half, and then milk the clock off of that. I do not like this matchup at all for the Steelers' offensive line against the Texans. And there's a reason that that some people think the Texans can legitimately get to the Super Bowl. And it's because of how good and how dominant this defense is. By the way, I just realized that I didn't have the graphic up the entire time, so I apologize for that. But CJ Stroud also in the playoffs the past couple of years. They've won in the wild card round. CJ Stroud has 2 playoff wins. CJ Stroud, I really do think is a player that steps up in big time games. And the Texans offense has, it definitely sputtered early on, but I really feel like if they can get to 17 points against the Steelers defense, which I definitely think they can, then I think they can win the game. The chat right now has Texans 73 to the Steelers 27% in the poll, and I do think that the Texans are going to win this game. So I would be eager to hear what you guys think, and I'm going to read the chat now, but I do think that the Texans are going to come out on top. So my predictions for wild card round are Rams, Packers, Jags, Birds, Patriots, and Texans. That's where I stand on this, and I'm eager to hear what you guys think. And by the way, if you guys have enjoyed the stream, please like. It helps tremendously. We had 230,000 subscribers today. Truly cannot thank you guys enough for the support. And yeah, so and also one of the reasons that Marcus is not here today, because I know people were asking, and I did address this earlier, but if you're just tuning in, I've dealt with some personal things this week, and Marcus also is going to the Rams-Panthers game, so he's, he had to fly from Minnesota to Charlotte, so it just unfortunately did not align time-wise. So everything's good, but that's why. A-Rod pick is inevitable, but we'll pull a win out of our rear end, says Heisenberg. I mean, I could see it happening. The thing is with the Texans and Steelers game, if you told me Steelers 2017, Texans 24-20, I would believe either side. And Marcus, we all know Marcus is afraid of the Bears, and that's why he's not here. I want to call him and just see what he would say to that. I want to, but I'm not going to. But he might be at the airport. I would love to call him. Jacksonville to the Super Bowl reminds me of last year's Commanders. We'll see. I could see the Jags going to the Super Bowl. I really could. All right. This is going to be a 1970s type game. I do agree with that with the Texans and Steelers game. I definitely agree with that. That is, yeah, that's a lot of defense, a lot of running the football, cold weather, throwback game. That's a really good summary of the Texans Steelers. I don't think either team wins by more than 7 points. That also applies to the Bears and Packers. Like alt spread plus 7.5, like it a lot. Texans my dark horse pick against the Seahawks. From JSN is King. Wonder why I picked the Seahawks. I could see it though. I really could see it. By the way, somebody said Tomlin plus Mendoza. We do have Dante Moore versus Fernando Mendoza tonight, so that's something to get excited about. All right. Do you think the Seahawks' best chance for a Super Bowl or the following year might not be as good? I think this is the best chance because you're the 1 seed, and also what has to be noted is for the Seahawks, specifically from a football standpoint, the Packers don't have Micah, the 49ers don't have Bosa. You're the 1 seed. You control your fate. You have Clint Kubiak, who's going to be a head coach somewhere else next year. There's a lot of things going in the Seahawks' favor. You're not going to have Kenneth Walker play at the level that he did next year. He's also a free agent. There's a lot of variables that have went in the Seahawks' favor. So I do think that this is the Seahawks' best chance. Master, what is it? Hold on, Master. I appreciate the 10-piece. Master Malrubius. Appreciate the 10-piece. Appreciate it. He says, love you, man. I love you guys always. Appreciate it. Now there is a video releasing tomorrow. It is right now already on the channel for members only. It is 4 NFL players who disappointed in 2025. And unfortunately, my guy, JJ McCarthy, is on the thumbnail. He'll, it is what it is, but that video will be released tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. And then, like I said, we will be live after the Packers-Bears game tomorrow night, which this is my favorite time of, well, aside from the cold, I don't like the fact that it's cold, but this is like my favorite time of year. Wild card round playoffs are going to be live Saturday, Sunday, probably Monday night as well. There's a lot to look forward to content-wise, and we're going to start with the videos coming up this week. So appreciate that, or just wanted to let you guys know that rather, and I appreciate the super chat from Alex who says, my future head coach, Clint, we are free, brother. We'll see. BTJ, massive disappointment. Maybe BTJ's in the video. We'll see. But that video will be out tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern. And that is going to wrap up today's stream. And appreciate everybody tuning in. And hopefully you guys enjoyed. And as always, until next time, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.